Good evening, I'm Charles Gross.
And I'm Leslie Hoban Blake. Welcome to Two on the Aisle.
And now we're going to talk about 1776, the revival of this classic Broadway musical at the Roundabout. A second flood, a simple famine, plagues of locusts everywhere, or a cataclysmic earthquake, I'd accept with some despair. But no, you sent us wokeness. Good God, sir, was that fair? I mean, you were talking about a show that was woke before anyone knew what woke was. This show was written over 50 years ago. Yet, look at the way it treats the members of the Continental Congress. It shows them as great men, but it shows them as men who were flawed. And look at the way it handles the slavery issue as well or better than any play has done it since. But is that enough for directors Jeffrey L. Page and Diane Paulus? No. They have to inject and woke up this show at every chance they can get. Take a look at the...
Yeah, Charlie, you can't say that a play that was all white people playing roles is woke, because that's not what wokeness is about. There was no diversity in that show at all. So diversity
they were all
is part
white
of
men.
No, I understand that. But once Hamilton came along,
if they had been any other race or color, and you had varied away from that, you'd get an earthquake of complaints.
Let's look at it this way, Charlie. Just because they could do what they did, should they have? There, the answer is no. Just because they could cast this was all women, was it a great idea? And my answer is no. It's a one-trick pony. Once you see them all doing it, it gets very, why are they doing this kind of thing? And some of these people who we saw in the show, by the way, were also in the all-female Taming of the Shrew, which I thought was very good and which worked out very well. But
I agree.
Apples and oranges, it doesn't make any difference. You can do that in Shakespeare all the time.
Here it goes beyond the casting. Take the Lees of Virginia number. Now, there's one point where Richard Henry Lee is talking about his family, and they show members of his family, but they include Robert E. Lee, who hadn't even been born yet and wouldn't be born for several decades, and somehow they're slipping notes of Dixie into the number. Why?
Well, now you get into something again. You're the one who really knows this. I only heard it, and if I heard it, it had to be really outrageous, and that is they changed the orchestration to not just there, but they put a lot of modernization of notes and endings and trills and rills and whatnot. I mean, I was very upset about that. I watched this play. I watched the movie of this play, which is as good as watching the play, at least once a year, and I love this music, and I was horrified. I was truly horrified.
One other example, Molasses to Rum to Slaves. Now, this is a very powerful slavery number, but they sing it, they pump it up so much that they actually deflate it. The number becomes dull, which is something I never thought I'd say about one of the strongest numbers I've ever seen on a musical theater stage.
Well, it's an anti-slavery, not a slavery, but yes, I agree with you. And there's an article in the Times, which if anybody is interested, you can go read about the wokeness and the wokeness within the cast and whether everybody is equally woke and everybody was treated well enough. And, as you said at one point, when is it enough? And I don't know if there is such a thing as enough, but it was an interesting idea. I think it should have been taken care of in the reading room, and maybe made a recording of, look at what we can do. And then leave it alone. You in your 1 minute on YouTube, you mentioned the pregnant Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to be. There was also a pregnant actress in Colored Girls.
Colored Girls, Colored Girls, you can get away with that. Here, not only is her pregnancy basically all you notice about her performance, because it's not a very interesting performance, but look at the number that, let's see, this is Ariella Surer, who plays Mrs. Jefferson. She was an understudy. She went on, and she gives this sensuous version of he plays the violin, but there is absolutely no chemistry between the two of them.
Well,
I mean, you
between the
see
pregnant
Elizabeth.
lady and the woman singing the song, right?
Yes, I mean, you see
And it's
Elizabeth Davis playing her violin,
we
and
have to.
there's
By the way,
just
we have to give a
nothing.
shout out. We really have to give a shout out to this young woman who took on the double role of Martha Jefferson and Dr. Lyman Hall. God knows how much notice she had, Ariella Sarer, and she did a brilliant job. She has a magnificent
Yes,
voice. It was brilliant. I got
yes.
shivers listening to her
She
sing.
was a standout. Now, on the
Standout.
other hand, Crystal Lucas Perry as John Adams, totally passionless. And this is John Adams. This guy's a bulldozer. And here
He's
she's
obnoxious.
and disliked. And in this case, very, very bland. I mean, look at Carolee Carmelo as his main rival, John Dickinson. Heck, I was almost ready to support not independence.
I actually, and I did want to mention the Padrina Murray. She plays the Ben Franklin role.
She seems to be channeling Whoopi Goldberg for some reason. That was the impression I got. And you know what? I thought that worked very well. In fact, I would now like to see Whoopi Goldberg as
Step
Ben
in and take
Franklin.
over the role, right? Okay, well that makes sense. Why not? A little more trick casting while we're at it. Why not? So the why not is, why do this? What is the purpose? What did it prove? And by the way, this is Diane Paulus, who has given us some extraordinary theater over the years, including Hair, including Pippin, including, she's great. She comes in and she takes an old play and she revitalizes it. That's not what she did here. That is not what she
When she is good, she is very, very good. But when she is woke, she is horrid. And yet, this is still 1776. The book of this musical by Peter Stone is a masterclass in how the book of a musical should be. I mean, everybody goes in and knows the ending. Spoiler alert. They sign the Declaration of Independence at the end, and yet you're on the edge of your seat throughout. Sherman Edwards' score stands with the best of them. And the brilliance of this play, despite its misdirection, does shine through. So you may actually be entertained, but boy, you're going to sit there and very often you will exclaim, "Oh, come on now." 3.5 playbills.
The wonderful thing about this play is at the very end, in every time I've ever seen it, you get to see the famous painting of the signing of the Declaration come to life. Here, instead, they give you a photo montage of all the ills of mankind due to racism in our world over the last 250 years.
And how many playbills?
3.
And that is our show for this evening. And when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too,
On the aisle.